Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I am building a yellow beach house as a part of my color block build challenge series. I am down to my final two houses and I am very excited about it, especially this one because yellow is my favorite color and I wanted to do something beachy because it is somewhere where I am right now and I wish I could go to one. But I really love how this build came together. I knew what shape I wanted, the vision in my head was working out amazing, ignoring the fact that I could not have the covered porch of my dreams because of the current roof glitch in the game. And I say current because while I'm recording this voiceover, they haven't fixed it yet. But by the time this video goes live, it should hopefully have been fixed with the update coming out the week this is posted, which it's also going to have autosaving in it. I am very interested to see how that works. Apparently, you're going to be able to choose when and how it autosaves. I'm honestly surprised it's taken the Sims team this long to put an autosave feature into the game, considering most games nowadays have an autosave feature. I mean, even Paralives has an autosave feature and it came with one. But as you can see, the shape is pretty much coming together. This is what I'm figuring out, that the roof glitch is because of the floors underneath. And not just because I'm putting a roof there, so I end up just scrapping the entire idea because I wanted to have flooring underneath the roof. So I just scrapped it and turned it into a balcony, and this was the only fence that was giving beach vibes. So it is very bright red and yellow, but I do just sort of lean into it. I know that the railing is from the Island Living Pack, so I know it's beach themed. It's on point. So I just kind of go with it. I do when the roof texture that I use, I actually have to go out of the yellow tab because it doesn't classify the thatching as yellow. I don't know what color it classifies the thatching as, but I had to go out of the yellow tab to get the thatching roof because it counted the edge part, which was very, very strange. And then you could see that I was trying to use pillars for it, but I couldn't shrink the pillars any more than they already were. So I could not use the columns on the balcony to support the roof, but I was like, I think it's fine. It probably visually looks weird, but it's okay. No, actually, the roof texture wasn't the problem. It was the edging for it. I thought I could just get away with the for rent one, but it looked really weird, so I had to go and find the actual trim, which I think is very funny that the roof is tagged as being yellow, but the roof trim is not. And it's the exact same type of roofing. Kind of a weird tagging thing, but the outside has pretty much come together. I'm pretty much done with the exterior. All I have left to do is add a staircase to get to the upstairs, and it's pretty much complete. This house is only one bed and one bath. The bedroom is accessed via that outside staircase, which I didn't think would be an issue, considering I pictured this house to be in Sulani on one of the many beach lots. And then the bathroom is on the main level. For the outside, I do add a second bump out to it just to make the outside feel more balanced because I felt like that one wall was blank and I didn't want to add a whole bunch of plants or extra decor to that side to make it not seem so blank. So I added that extra bump out, which comes in handy when I'm doing the inside floor plan. But the tiling on the outside here is the for rent tile. It does have a lot of red in it because I did already have red on the banister and the railing, the fencing, whatever you want to call it. I decided to just kind of lean into it, and I think it looks really beautiful. If I could do anything on this house to renovate it, it would be to change the railing around the entire perimeter to something else, but keep that tile because I think it's absolutely gorgeous. It is one of my favorite tiles in the game. I love the for rent tiles. And then here I am trying to pick out a front door. I thought I was going to use that more rustic movie hangout stuff door, but the magenta wasn't a red. It was very clearly magenta. Couldn't disguise it as a red. So I just ended up going with a base game sliding door, and then I just used base game windows. I used the ones that look like they open from the center, just like a regular window. And then I get rid of those big ones. Do I get rid of the big ones on the top? I don't remember. Or maybe I just put little ones on the side of the house. But I keep those big ones in there. And then this is the downstairs floor plan. I didn't have to do anything upstairs. It's just a box. But down here, that is going to be the bathroom off to the right. The kitchen is going to be in this back area. I do try to use the spandrel from For Rent, but it looked a little funny. So I decided to scrap that idea. I was going to use the same tile from the outside, but I ended up just going with the Space Game laminate flooring. I was thinking about using it throughout the entire house, but I decided to use this yellow carpeting. I put it upstairs at first, and then I decided to bring it downstairs to put it in the living space. I left a little bit of the tile in front of the door because I thought if you're in Sulani, you wouldn't want the sand to get in the carpet, so you would want a little bit of tile, a little bit of buffer there. And then I'm just going to be adding a few more windows. We will be picking out the wallpaper here shortly. I did think that I was going to use one from the Pastel Pop Kit. It has a like light mint green color on the bottom, but the mint green wasn't fitting with the vibes of the place. It looked too modern to me. So I scrapped that idea, and I think I just use a plain yellow wallpaper in here. And then for the rest of the house, I used some base game tile and just some regular yellow paint. I wanted this house to feel kind of like it hadn't really been changed all that much from the original building of the house. I kind of wanted it to feel like there were some modern touches, but other than that, I wanted it to feel like it was kind of a bit outdated. The outside looks like it's been distressed from all the seawater. And it just had this like look and feel of just like a little old cozy beach home. And I didn't really want to stray from that, besides adding a few modern touches from the sim that moved in. We are starting upstairs in the bedroom. I really struggled with picking out a bed, as you can see. I went through a lot of them. I went to that bed from Island Living quite a bit. Thought I was going to use it, but it just wasn't fitting the vibes that I wanted. So instead, I'm using this one that was free on the marketplace. And I pair it with some curtains from Seasons and 2 mismatched nightstands. I think the step, like the one that looks like a step stool, I think that's from the Cozy Kitsch kit. And then the other one is from the Blooming Rooms kit. I then put a rug in here. Even though there is carpet, the floor just seemed really, really bland and boring. So I end up using a rug. I think I go with a rug from... Is that... Oh, that's Jungle Adventure. I thought I was going to use the Bowling Nights rug, but I think the colors were too bright and vivid. So I used this one from Jungle Adventure. And then I will be putting some little tiny lights on these nightstands. I believe they're from Love Struck. And then I just will be decorating these tables. I put a book on one, I put a notebook on the other, and then I will be putting some lamps up in the corner as well as some plants. I figured that the sim that lived here was really into plants, but all the plants that they have are fake. And although that they are super in love with plants, they have books about plants, they're trying to learn about plants, they just can't seem to keep any of them alive. And then also for the very first time ever, I am able to use the plant lamp from the Blooming Rooms kit. I have always wanted to use that. I've always wanted to find a space to use that, and lo and behold, this house gave me the opportunity to finally use that lamp. I don't know if I will ever be able to use that lamp again, but there she is. I actually really love this lamp. I think it's pretty cool. And then next to it, I get the dresser from Get Famous, and then I get my favorite mirror of all time from Growing Together, which is just that gold mirror right there. It used to be the mirror from Jungle Adventure, but I think that mirror that I use from Growing Together has quickly become my staple mirror that I use. And then I will be putting down just some clutter on top of the dresser along with some shoes from the Grange Mudroom kit. And then the clutter I put up here is just kind of really random. I didn't really know what kind of sim lived in this house, so I just kind of picked clutter based off of vibes and what I thought would be up in this room. So there's just like a box, some of that clutter from high school years, and from the Everyday Clutter kit. And then there is also a bottle of sunscreen because, you know, we live on a beach and you need to protect your skin. And then I believe the last thing I put on the dresser is this little taxi, and I think I put a candle because in my head I'm like, what else could you put in a space but a candle? And that is pretty much it for the upstairs. I don't put any hanging ceiling lamps. The only thing I do is I do swap around where the plants are, where the lamps are. I swap around the nightstands and stuff because I didn't want all the plants to be on one side, all the lamps to be on the other. So I just kind of swap everything around. And then we will be moving on into the kitchen, where I use the Country Kitchen kit in here. I use not only the counters but also the appliances because, again, I wanted this to feel like the person just kind of moved in, didn't have a budget to really renovate the house. They kind of just left everything as is, got the stuff working again, and it again just gives it kind of that cozy, homey feeling that I was really hoping for. I try to do that in a lot of my houses now. I try to make them feel like just cozy and old and like they've always been there. And then I used, like I said before, that laminate and that tile is both from Base Game. And then I will be using a lot of clutter from the Kitchen Clutter kit. My brain forgot how to speak for a second. This is the second voiceover I'm doing today. I'm trying to squeeze them all in because I'm on vacation this week, so I'm trying to do a lot of pre-recording, so hopefully I can take a break for 2 weeks. But anyways, there is the kitchen clutter. I was maybe kind of imagining that the sim that lived here wanted to be a chef. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, or maybe they just really like cooking. Maybe the sim that lives here doesn't really have a job necessarily. Maybe they get on the computer and they do a bunch of those like odd jobs here and there. But there's some more kitchen clutter on this side. That one cup thing is not from the kitchen clutter kit. It is actually from Adventure Awaits. I think it's really pretty. I think I used it in either my greenhouse. I think it was my green Suburban build, and I used it again in this house. And then I wanted there to be more visual, usable kitchen space. So I used two of these cabinets from Laundry Day. I just stuck them together in the middle of the kitchen, and then I just kind of clutter it up with more stuff from the kitchen clutter kit. I use the cereal boxes, I use oven mitts, I use some plants, there's some dishes. I really wanted it to look like it was actively being used and that the space was really, really lived in. And then one of the very last things that I put in this kitchen before moving on is I put a couple rugs in front of the stove and the sink, so your Sims have nice little cushions to put their little feet on. And then I replace the saucer light with the hanging fish chandelier. I don't remember what pack that chandelier comes from. I think it's from Growing Together because I think it came with all like that fishing decor and stuff. But here I am just picking out those rugs. They are from Base Game. There's these 2 half circle rugs. I use these a lot when I want to use like entrance mats for inside, and there is that fish chandelier. And then we will be moving on to the dining / entry / living space. There really is no separation in this area, but there were only like 3 options for dining tables that would fit in this space, and I ended up going with a table from, I believe, Snowy Escaper. It might be the City Living table. It's the City Living table, and I used these chairs from Growing Together. I originally didn't want to use this table because it was the wood on it was really, really dark, and I wasn't using a lot of dark woods in this house. But I feel like it ended up working in the end, which was kind of surprising. I thought I was going to have to come back later and change it out, but once I put the flowers on top of it, put this light above it, it just kind of clicked and kind of worked for me, which I was very surprised about. And then I think adding these 2 pictures from the Cozy Kitsch kit, I believe is what they're from, with the black frames, I think it just ties this whole corner together. And then I put this plant from Businesses and Hobbies, and then I will be moving over here to the entryway where I get out the whiteboard from high school years. I thought about using some of the hanging stuff from the Grange Mudroom kit, but they just took up too much of the wall space, and I wanted to use this whiteboard instead. And then I hang some bags underneath the whiteboard, like they're actually hung from the whiteboard. And then I get out the same table that I used in the kitchen. I thought about hanging these planters underneath the whiteboard, but it looked really silly. And then I thought hanging them above, and then it looked even more silly. So I was like, nah, we're going to get rid of those. So I end up just getting, like I said, the table from Laundry Day. I also get a chair from Laundry Day too. I put it in the corner, but first we're going to be hanging up some curtains from Island Living. I don't think I put any curtains on that big window. I might, I'm not 100% sure. But here we are getting the chair out for the corner over here for your Sims to sit down and put their shoes on. Realistically, they don't do that, but we can pretend. And then I moved those boots from the Grange Mudroom kit, and this is where I'm getting out the table. I was going to use that one from Parenthood, but it was too vibrant and colorful, so I just used the same one. And then I get out these keys with the sunglasses. I get out this city sculpture. And then I believe I put the candle that looks like it's cheese on the table. And then this basket of blankets and towels. And I think that's a pillow. But the reason behind the city stuff, I put the taxi upstairs and the city thing, is I like to imagine that the Sim who lived here grew up in San Myshuno, but when they got older, graduated high school, they wanted to move to Sulani to have a slower, quieter paced life. And then something that I do not show when we move into the living room is that I don't show decorating the entryway table, which is just a bookcase from Cozy Kitsch, a poster, and then there's a dartboard hanging up, which you can see right there. I don't think that dartboard is functional, but I put it there as some extra clutter on the wall. I liked how it looked. Obviously, you can see the marker right there on the floor. It might work. I'm not sure, but it was nice decor for me to put up. But over here in the living space, I have a couch from Cozy Kitsch. I think I do end up putting curtains on this window, actually, because I'm looking for curtains. Yeah, I do. I didn't think I did, but I do. And then I put the table from, I believe that's Parenthood, and then just the base game box TV. Nothing fancy for them. And then on this wall, I used more art from Adventure Awaits. I think I've used this artwork now in like 3 houses, because it's in my blue colonial. It's in this house, and I believe I also used it in the green suburban. I'm not sure, or I might have used it in my red A-frame. Again, not sure. But this is where I put those. I believe I put the hanging plants on this wall instead of where I wanted to put them. And then I hang up this high school diploma. I thought it would be funny if like this Sim was just like really, really proud of graduating from high school. So they hung up their high school diploma in the living room. But I go ahead and put a laptop on the table, so there's a computer for your Sims to use. And then I'm just picking out a lamp. I just use this base game one. I believe I use that one upstairs too. And then I use a couch. I do use a couch, but I use this rug from Businesses and Hobbies that has the red circles on it. I thought it kind of tied the whole space together. And then we will be jumping outside here to pick out some plants. I have already decorated 2 of the balconies. The one back here has a telescope on it and a bunch of plants from Seasons and then that are red. And then the other one just has some plants. It took me a while to decorate that front one with plants, so I just cut it out. And then I'm actually using Real Landscaping down here. I use the only 2 yellow trees in the game, which one is from Island Living, the other is from Lovestruck. And then I'm just using these base game low-lying flowers with this cats and dogs plant. I believe in real life it's called like a hacienda or something. Not 100% sure, but my mom used to plant those all the time down by our mailbox when I was a kid. So I'm pretty sure those are haciendas. I could be wrong though. But I used more of them over here along with some base game yellow flower bushes. I thought about putting 3 of these, and then I remembered that there was just a giant one that existed, so I quickly put down the giant one and deleted the little ones. And then once I get done putting down these plants, I will be moving on to the very teeny tiny deck space here in the back. But again, I figured that this Sim lives on one of the beach lots in Sulani, so this house probably backs up onto the water, so they can immediately step down those stairs, step onto the beach, and go for a swim. But this back patio, not only does it have that plant decor right there by the stairs, but it does have this table with the umbrella with 2 seats. And then I believe I put a grill over here on this side. I don't think I put much of anything else on here. The only skill building activity is the telescope, I believe, in this house. I don't think there's any other skill building besides the obvious cooking. and stuff. And then out here on the porch, I believe I just put a bench, and then I will be finishing off the build by putting some garden gnomes around in the landscaping that I just put down, and then putting the jellyfish lights from Adventure Awaits. But that is the end of this build. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, this is my favorite one I have done, not just because yellow is my favorite color, but because this one just cozy vibes. Screenshots just had cozy vibes, and I just love it so much. But I will be moving on to other builds soon once I finish building the leather one, post it, get them up on the gallery, and I'm just really excited to finish this series and actually have a series that is finished on my channel. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!